Hey guys, welcome back for another video. I hope you are all doing great. I hope you're all having a great weekend. So we've had a pretty uneventful weekend. I don't know exactly what to call it. I'm actually kind of surprised, especially there were so many people saying that there were going to be price collapses this weekend. I don't know where everybody was getting that information from. But luckily, we have almost had none. Prices have pretty much gone up around 1 to 2% for every coin and then have gone down and kind of gone back up. This is like the normal movement. But if you look at the charts, everything is going sideways, which is pretty nice. I really don't understand what people got all that stuff about the prices collapsing. I saw that so many times. I even saw that in comments on so many videos. People were talking about, maybe take out all your money this weekend because the prices will go down. I don't know where the fear came from. But yeah, pretty much all the SegWit fears have all but subsided, which is absolutely wonderful. And we are pretty much moving ahead. I got a lot of comments in the last couple videos saying that I talk too quick. I'm sorry. The point of that is that I don't. I feel bad if my videos drag on too long, or if I feel like they are dragging on too long, because I really don't want to waste your time. So I try to make them as short as possible, and the effect of that is me talking quicker than I normally would. I actually talk pretty quick in real life. I grew up in New York, and everyone kind of talks really, really fast, and even in the other languages that I speak, I also speak really fast. I've been told that many times. So for future reference, if I do speak quickly, I am sorry. I'm not doing it to whatever. I'm doing it because I try to make these videos a bit quicker so you guys can go on with your day. And continuing on. So I've been seeing a lot about people talking about Bitcoin bubbles the last couple of weeks. I mean, obviously this is bound to happen, especially because of all the price increases that we've seen since January. It's bound to happen. People love talking about bubbles because what ends up happening is when these analysts talk about, this is a bubble, this is a bubble, this is a bubble. Eventually, one day they will be right about something, and this is how they get like people to follow them. A little bit off topic, there was something about how scams work online, and I was reading a book about it, and it says if you have 50,000 people and you tell them, that this stock is going to go up, and tell the other half that the stock is going to go down, and if the price goes up or down, you're correct. So you take the 25,000 that would side with you for the up or down, et cetera, and you tell half of them the price is going to go up, the price is going to go down. You're going to be correct in one of the ways, and then you continue all this way, and then this is usually how scams get started. So this is what I've been seeing on so many websites. People have been talking or comparing the price and rise of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to something called Tulip Mania that happened in Holland in the 1600s. I don't know if you guys know about it. It's actually really interesting. So for some reason in the 1600s in Holland, they were obsessed with tulips, which is a type of flower, and it got to the point where people were actually wearing them, people were trading them. It was actually traded on their stock market, and people valued them higher than gold. Like they, for some reason, thought that these tulips and these flowers were some of the most beautiful things in the entire world. And it got to the point where some of them were as expensive as homes. Think about that. Being able to trade flowers for an entire house, which is kind of awesome for the person who ended up getting the house after selling the flowers. But this has been going around for the last couple of weeks and even a couple of months. So many analysts keep comparing this to the Tulip Mania, and it's kind of like, I get it. Like I understand kind of where they're coming from, saying that, this may be a gigantic bubble and it may pop the same way that eventually one day when people realize that they were actually just trading flowers back and forth, all the prices fell by like 99.9% and everyone started panicking, trying to sell off their flowers or whatever the case might be. What I think a lot of people who write these articles don't understand is that Bitcoin is not a flower. Bitcoin is a method of payment, as are many other coins, which actually has a real world use. You can't use a flower to like build a company. Like you can't use it to build a house. You can, however, use Bitcoin to send payments from country to country. You can use Ripple to send instant transactions. You can use IOTA to, do these other like really cool things. And sorry if I'm not rambling, but it's just a lot of frustration. I wish that people didn't make articles like this. I wish that they made things that were a bit more clear for people who are reading them, because the issue that I'm sure you've all seen over the past couple months and years as well is that when people talk about Bitcoin, they kind of blanket the entirety of the crypto world. And as we all know, Bitcoin, is the name of cryptocurrency. Like when everyone talks about cryptocurrency, they're not talking about like, oh, have you seen like whale coin? That's really awesome. They're always going to say Bitcoin first. But Bitcoin is not the only coin. You can't compare Bitcoin to Ethereum. You can't compare Ethereum to Ripple, and you can't compare Ripple to Shark Coin or Weed Coin. I think there is, and stuff like that. So a lot of this has been going on, and if you actually do the research on it, it's actually pretty funny. People have been talking about this since I believe around 2012 when Bitcoin's price like shot up to around 1,200, and people were saying even then that the price of it would crumble back down to around $10 because the same thing happened in Tulip Mania, and people were even talking about it when it hit $100, and people said the same exact thing when it hit 2,000. Everyone is just trying their hardest to become a wizard at the price so that when they are eventually correct, or if they ever are correct, that they can gain fame from it. Bitcoin is not a flower, and neither is any other thing. These things have actual real world use, and banks are using them, and normal everyday people are using them. And yeah, so I've messaged Coinbase a lot of times asking them what coins do they plan on integrating into their system, because the entire point of Coinbase at first was they were just a Bitcoin, they were solely on Bitcoin, and as the price of Ethereum rose, they integrated Ethereum, and the same with Litecoin, which was a shock to kind of everyone because they were the whole point of Coinbase was just that they were using Bitcoin transactions back and forth, but as the prices of other coins have risen, they've kind of notice them, if you will. So there's been a lot of talk over the weekend if Coinbase would integrate Ethereum Classic, which I think it's bound to happen, but apparently people were talking about it on Twitter and they kind of shut them down almost immediately, saying, we do not have any immediate plans to integrate them into our system, which I kind of think is a lie, because realistically, I think if the price of Ethereum Classic ever goes up to around like $70 or $80, you can probably expect something on Coinbase, getting a newsletter, them saying, hey, look at what we're integrating. It's the same with Ripple. I messaged them a while back and I was asking them, I said, do you guys plan on integrating any of like the top 5 or top 6 coins on the coin market caps? And they were saying, we don't have any future plans right now, but we actually aren't even allowed to tell you which coins we're going to integrate. But they said they use not a consensus, that's not the word. They kind of do it, if enough people send in a message saying, hey, are you going to integrate this coin? Then they'll kind of consider that coin. I have a strong feeling that in the future they will eventually mesh with Ethereum Classic as well as Ripple. It's just, I think it's bound to happen once the prices start going up, because they're not going to miss an opportunity, because these people are making millions every single week. Because if you've never used Coinbase before, they do take a fee for, I think, if you are buying in fiat currency, and also if you are selling. I think this is how they make their money, and every time a transaction goes by, they're making more money. So if the price of these coins are going up and people are trying to make big transactions in these things, there's no way that they're going to be like, oh, maybe just kind of wait and see. But it is what it is. We'll see in the next couple of months, especially as the prices continue to go up. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention even like the last year or so. It's actually really sad what's going on in Venezuela. I kept up on it. This was about 8-9 months ago, and I remember reading stuff online, like looking for actual articles on New York Times or like really big news websites. And I remember, I think I saw like 1 or 2 little blurbs, like with like a photo, maybe like the size of my thumbnail, like in the corner at the bottom of the website. It wasn't even like really big news. I don't know if it's because these people have economic interest in the area and they don't want to, talk down about about what's going on over there. But it's actually pretty sad. There are people standing in line for hours and hours and hours for food. Their currency is basically worthless. I think inflation has hit them between it's like something like 600 to 800% within the last couple of months, which is absolutely horrible. If you know anything about hyperinflation, people are actually putting their cash like into like bags and just going to store and kind of weighing them. And this is how they are buying bread at the moment. One of the websites that I get my news from is ethnews.com, and they actually had this quote which I thought was kind of ridiculous. So it's gotten to the point where people are like, struggling to, like, people are literally standing in line for hours and hours and hours trying to buy food. There was a documentary that I saw where people the government was actually telling these people to stand like in parking lots so that people walking by wouldn't see them on the streets, like tourists walking by wouldn't see the crisis that the country was actually in. So they've been telling people to, stand on the ground and stuff like that. And it's gotten so bad. So this is the quote. The last digit on national identity cards is now being used to designate what days of the week people are allowed to shop for food. That is horrible. I don't know what country you guys are from. I've seen like some of the comments in the comment section, but if your currency is devalued that much that you are being told what day that you can go and buy food, especially when food is very, very scarce, there have been a lot of hijackings as people are trying to bring some sort of aid, or as food and stuff is being ordered to, and it's like entering the country, there are people waiting at the borders and they're hijacking these trucks and then driving them back into larger cities, and they're charging these people about 20, 30 times what this thing should be costing. They have like there's videos on YouTube if you want to check them out of women going there with their babies and taking days off of work and stuff like that, and they're saying this took me like 3.5 hours just to get a bag of flour. And so the entire point is not going on to how sad the entire story is. There is a huge movement, as you might have assumed, for people there to start mining cryptocurrency. Venezuela is very rich in petrol and oil, and recently when the price kind of like dropped down, I think it's actually gone up a bit in the last couple of months, but when the price dropped down, the country they slumped even further. So what people have started doing now is, because electricity is so cheap there, because they have a huge amount of it is done by solar power, people have started making their own mining rigs and stuff like that, and literally like bunching their money together, and they've started mining altcoins. A lot of them tried mining Bitcoin at first, but we all know that Bitcoin is very difficult in order to mine. So people have started doing altcoins, and it's gotten to the point where these people are making maybe $5-10 a day, which is not a lot for many people, but for them, can you imagine if you're weighing your money and stuff like that, and then you're able to make $5 to $10 per day? So this is actually something. There are a lot of people who aren't in like the more affected regions, like the poor regions and stuff like that, who said that they're in contact with the people in these areas and they've been talking with them, and they said apparently like these people are doing their darndest to mine as much as they can, and they're using this money to actually like help them survive and stuff like that. And I think it's called Monkey Coin. Don't quote me on that. I think that is a website where people in Venezuela are allowed to trade cryptocurrencies for cash and stuff like that. And their popularity has exploded as this thing has gone on. There are a lot of rich people in Venezuela who have completely fled. There was a documentary about that as well a couple weeks ago, that these rich people literally, they kind of like took their gold, they took all their other stuff, they were like stacking up paintings and stuff like that, they put them into a truck, and these people have tried moving to Mexico or trying to get into the US. It's really weird that none of this is actually on the news. I don't know if it's to like kind of stop panic, but there's a lot of talk of hyperinflation about the US dollar as well eventually happening. Like I said in other videos, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if you just look at the numbers, it's kind of, you can't print billions of dollars in every single year without something negative happening. So Venezuela is experiencing a gigantic crypto wave. Like, they are really into it right now, and I mean it makes a lot of sense. If you are getting next to free electricity, in some places it's actually completely free, especially if they pick up old solar panels and stuff like that. These people are mining, and I'm glad that they're doing it, because this is a great way to literally bring them out of poverty at this point. If they're able to do that, and they're able to work together, especially with other people who are in areas that are less affected, who may be donating cards and stuff like that to them to help them, this is really great. I think it's really sad at this point that it's gotten this bad, and the government is doing what they can to help the people, but realistically, I think it would take the complete collapse of a country in order for one of them to actually integrate cryptocurrencies into their systems. There was talk about this in 2012 as well. Like, there were a couple of countries, especially African countries, they were talking about, why don't these countries either make their own cryptocurrency so that they literally can never go through hyperinflation again. If you have, if you make $100 billion of a coin that is, divisible up to like the 20th decimal point, and this is all that you make for your country, and every citizen in your country gets this currency that's constantly divisible, and they can use this. This would stop the $100 trillion bills and all this other stuff. I mean, maybe I'm just too much of a not a realist. What's the opposite of a realist? Like I just want people to be able to live and be happy and stuff like that. And it would be very interesting if a country completely collapsed and their country was like, we're going to make our own cryptocurrency, or we're going to try and integrate one of the other ones. I mean, think of what it would be like if a country integrated like Ripple or IOTA into their systems, and they were like, this is going to be used to help people. Like, we're going to try and give everyone, one or two of these things, et cetera, et cetera. Like yeah, you guys know what I'm trying to say. Sorry for rambling on. I just think we are living in very ridiculous times, and there's so many ways to help people. And it's really sad when governments don't do so just to help their own people. But as I said before in other videos, I don't see people mining coins stopping anytime soon. I think it's only going to get more and more ridiculous as time goes on. This is why the mining difficulty has been going up. If you see all the charts, mining difficulty has gone up exponentially around the world, and it is not going to stop. The more these prices go up, the more people have problems like this, like in Venezuela, especially people like that in Africa. There's a huge thing in Africa where people also mining as well. The same in India and other less developed countries. These things are going to get absolutely big, and a lot of people focus on what's happening in the US and in Europe and in China as to see like what's going on with crypto, not really understanding that the people who don't have anything, who don't have the money, they're the most, like, they want this the most. Like, they are the people who are probably going to move the entire market as we go forward. Yeah, I also got a lot of, I understand, I'm sorry guys that I haven't been making, as people have been writing in the comment section, face videos. We had thunderstorms for like 3 days here. So I started making videos, and it was literally me sitting in front of the camera, and it was kind of flashing every 3 seconds as the electricity was bouncing around. And then it was just like a bright kaboom and stuff like that in the background. So I don't know if you guys wanted to hear me talking and then looking up at the window as lightning struck. Probably didn't want that. So I'm going to try my best this week. I think it's supposed to be a bit better, maybe just a bit rainy. I'll try and make some face videos, as everyone has been calling them, because yeah, I mean, I also enjoy making those as well. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a great evening. Let's be happy that the coin prices went sideways and didn't completely collapse like everyone said they would. And let's hope for a very exciting week ahead of us. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon.